In the wilderness, a wildlife researcher's trail camera captured something inexplicable. What began as routine footage monitoring turned into a chilling discovery that would forever change the lives of everyone involved. It was just after 6 a.m. when James Holloway poured himself the first cup of burnt coffee from a camping stove and sank into the creaky wooden chair in his cabin. His laptop booted up with a faint hum, and with muscle memory, he clicked open the trail cam software. There were hours of overnight footage waiting for him: a curious raccoon, the blur of a foxtail, the occasional deer blinking blankly into the lens. Then, frame 7621 loaded. James blinked and leaned in, replaying the clip and slowing it down. The motion-triggered camera had captured someone he wasn't expecting to see. Bathed in the grainy grayscale of night vision was the unmistakable shape of a young woman, thin, barefoot, walking slowly down the dirt path, as if in a trance. No jacket, no shoes, just underwear. Her arms hung limp by her sides, and her long hair clung to her shoulders as if it had rained recently, though the weather log said otherwise. He froze. Was it a prank, a model doing some forest photo shoot, or a dream? He backed the clip up again. 2:43 a.m. She didn't look toward the camera. She didn't stumble. She walked with eerie precision. The trail cuts straight through this part of the woods, about 3 miles from the nearest road, no flashlight, no gear, no way to see. James leaned back, breath caught in his chest. He had set those cameras up for wildlife research, for quiet moments of nature, not this, not her. He grabbed his phone. The signal was weak, but he texted Elena, a local ranger, occasional trail partner, and the only other person he trusted not to brush this off as a glitch or prank. Camera caught a girl in the woods last night. She wasn't dressed for the cold. Timestamp 2:43. You need to see this. As the morning sun filtered lazily through the tree canopy, James sat staring at the frozen frame on his screen. His camera had captured something strange, and he had a gut feeling he was about to get pulled into something he wasn't ready for. Elena Morales showed up at the cabin just after 9 a.m., her Forest Ranger SUV kicking up a trail of dust behind it. She didn't ask questions right away, just stepped inside, nodded to James, and set her coffee down next to his laptop. He hit play without saying a word. Her face shifted almost immediately. What the hell? I know, James muttered. Elena squinted at the screen. She's not carrying anything. No light, no backpack. What the hell is she doing out there? Exactly what I've been asking, James said. Could be a runaway, could be. He trailed off. They hiked out to the camera site within the hour, pushing through ferns slick with dew and tangled roots. James knew this trail like the back of his hand. He'd walked it hundreds of times with his own daughter before everything fell apart 6 years ago. That ache never quite went away. Camera's right here, he said, pointing to the tree. She came from that side, heading east. Elena bent down, brushing away leaves and pine needles. There's something here. A partial footprint, faint but visible. Barefoot toes, no shoe tread. She was really out here, she whispered. This isn't a prank. James checked the timestamp on the camera again. 2:43 a.m. This spot is 3 miles from any road, 2 from the old ranger station. Either she got dropped off or she's been in these woods a while. They followed the trail further, deeper into the trees, for hours. They found nothing but the hum of insects and the occasional squirrel darting into the underbrush. Back at the cabin, they called the sheriff. Sheriff Kwan here. We'll take a look, but unless there are signs of a crime, our hands are tied. It could be a hiker got disoriented. James bit his tongue. You don't walk through this forest half naked in the middle of the night unless you're running from something. He hung up. Useless. That night, James sat alone, rewatching the footage on loop. There was something in the way she walked, controlled but hollow. It was as if her body knew where it was going, but her mind didn't. He barely noticed when the thunderstorm rolled in, rain tapping against the windows. It always reminded him of that night his daughter Lena had passed away from acute leukemia, gone in 3 months. One day she was running through these woods pretending to be a fox, the next, she was in a hospital bed asking him if the stars were watching her. James never really recovered. Photography became his escape. He didn't like people anymore. Cameras were easier, they told the truth even when it hurt. So, when that girl showed up on his screen, looking eerily like Lena's older shadow, wet hair, small frame, lost, he couldn't look away. By the next morning, he had printed stills and stapled them to trees with a note: "If you are out here and need help, I see you. You are not alone. Come to this cabin. No questions, just safety." He set up another 3 trail cameras in a triangle around the area. Elena came back the following day with a folded map and her sleeves rolled up. "I asked around," she said. "No hikers were reported missing, but there's a family in the next county with a teenage daughter who's been gone 5 days. Parents say she runs off all the time." Elena made air quotes. James scoffed. "Of course, they said that." She handed him a grainy photo from a social media post, a girl named Vivian Lake. Dark blonde hair, freckles, soft eyes. She looked like any other 17-year-old, except for the way her smile didn't quite reach the corners. "It could be her," James said. "Maybe. There's no way to confirm," Elena added. "But it's a start." 3 days later, one of the cameras caught motion again. 4:12 a.m. She was back. Same girl. Still barefoot. Still silent. But this time, she looked up directly into the camera. James paused the footage, zoomed in. Her eyes were wide, and for a moment, something flickered across her face, not fear. Recognition. She knew someone was watching, and maybe, just maybe, she wanted to be seen. The next morning, James returned to the site where she had appeared. Under a fallen log, half buried in leaves, he found a small plastic bag. Inside was a handwritten note on notebook paper: "Please find me." James stared at the note again. Its 3 handwritten words pressed harder on his chest the longer he looked at them. Please find me. It wasn't a prank. It wasn't a fluke. Whoever she was, Vivian or not, she wanted to be found. For James, that changed everything. Elena showed up the next morning with a beat-up thermos and a spark in her eyes. "I've been digging," she said, unfolding a crumpled article from her glove box. "Look at this." It was a post from a local subreddit. Someone had spotted a girl matching the same description near the Clearwater trailhead, about 5 miles from James' forest cameras. She was walking alone, looked out of it. "I tried to ask if she was okay, but she bolted into the trees." Same time frame, same girl. They were chasing shadows. But now, the shadows had a path. Over the next few days, James and Elena expanded their search. They found more footprints, scraps of fabric snagged on branches, a trail bar wrapper, all signs of someone moving through the woods in a hurry, but methodically, like she was staying off-grid on purpose. A week into the search, James discovered something else. Tucked inside the hollow of an old tree along the eastern ridge, he found a weathered backpack wrapped in a trash bag. Inside was a cracked phone with no SIM card, a journal, water-damaged but legible in parts, a hoodie with the name V. Lake stitched into the tag. "Elena," he called, heart hammering. She read over his shoulder as he flipped through the journal. Most entries were vague, but the final one was written in bold, shaky handwriting: "I didn't leave to be found. I left to be free, but sometimes I think I just wanted someone to notice I was gone." That was it. That was the line that gutted James. Vivian wasn't running towards something. She was running from everything. Elena made a call to the Clearwater Police Department with the evidence. Meanwhile, James did something he swore he'd never do: he uploaded the footage to Reddit. Within 48 hours, the post exploded. Thousands of comments, theories, people combing through missing persons databases. A match came back. Vivian Lake, 17, reported missing nearly 2 weeks prior. What shocked everyone? Her parents had waited 5 full days before filing anything. One Redditor found an old Facebook comment thread where Vivian had posted, "Wish I could just disappear into the trees." For James, this wasn't about internet points. This was about Lena, about all the times he'd felt helpless, about the pain of losing someone you loved before you even got a chance to help them. "I wasn't there for my daughter when she needed me most," he told Elena quietly. "Maybe I can be there for this girl." "You already are," she said.
More than anyone else has, he replied. But time was ticking, temperatures were dropping. If Vivian had injuries or was low on supplies, she wouldn't last long out here. Later that day, camera 5 pinged. James rushed to check the footage. It was short, just 9 seconds, but it was her again. She looked thinner, slower. Her limp was more noticeable now. But what stopped James cold was this. She was carrying the note he'd left her, folded in her hand, clutched like a lifeline. Elena contacted Search and Rescue. The official missing persons report was now linked to the footage, and a formal search was greenlit. But James couldn't wait. He loaded his pack with food, water, a thermal blanket, and a note that read, "Vivian, I'm not here to take you back. I'm here to make sure you don't disappear." He headed out at dawn, following the last direction she was seen walking. The forest was quiet, heavy with mist, like it was holding its breath. After driving for a while, his light caught a curled-up figure leaning against a tree by the edge of the cleared path. It must be Vivian, he thought. James stopped the car and got out. With his hand slightly raised, he began to move toward her. At the sound of approaching footsteps, her eyes slowly flickered open. She didn't scream, didn't run. She just looked at him, like she'd seen a ghost, like the cameras I had finally stepped into her world. He knelt slowly. "My name's James. I'm not with the police. I'm not here to make you go anywhere. I just wanted to know you're okay." Silence, then barely a whisper. "I didn't think anyone would come." James nodded, swallowing a lump in his throat. "Most people wouldn't, but I'm not most people." She didn't cry, just leaned back and whispered, "Okay." Vivian hadn't spoken in hours. She sat quietly, wrapped in the thermal blanket James had given her, sipping from a tin mug of warm instant soup. The fire crackled softly between them. James didn't ask questions. He just sat, present, still, patient. When Elena arrived with a med team, Vivian tensed, but James held up a hand. "They're not here to take you away," he said gently. "They're here to help you heal." Vivian's eyes were glassy, unreadable. She didn't nod, didn't speak, but she didn't run. The medic gently examined her leg. It was swollen, bruised, and likely sprained. Her arms bore older marks, faded and thin. The team worked quietly, carefully, as if raising their voices would scare her off. Elena sat next to her, knees in the dirt, and offered a granola bar. "Vivian," she said softly, "you don't have to tell us anything, but you're safe now. We're not the people you were running from." Vivian's lip trembled, still silent. Then she reached into her pocket. Slowly, she unfolded a piece of paper from her diary, the same one James had written weeks ago, the note he left pinned to the tree. "If you are out here and need help, I see you. You are not alone." Vivian stared at it for a long moment, then looked up at James. Her voice was barely audible, raspy from days of silence. "You wrote this." "I did," James said. "Why?" James took a breath. "Because no one deserves to disappear quietly." Vivian blinked fast, tears brimming. "I thought no one would ever come," she said. "I almost didn't," James replied, "but I couldn't stop thinking, what if she were my daughter?" In that moment, something no one expected happened. Vivian leaned forward, arms trembling, and hugged James, not out of comfort, not out of relief, but because he saw her, not as a headline, not as a case file, not as a ghost moving through night vision, but as a person, a survivor. Vivian ended up staying at a temporary shelter arranged by Elena and a nonprofit that worked with at-risk teens. She didn't go back to her parents. Her story came out slowly, layer by layer, revealing years of growth and hurt. There was abuse, neglect, a slow suffocation that made the wilderness feel safer than home. But there was also strength. The media moved on fast, as it always does. The footage that once shocked the internet became just another viral video in a sea of noise. But for James, the story never ended. She wrote to him once a week, sometimes just a few lines, sometimes poems. One crisp morning, James received a small padded envelope.